You know what? You can always count on some folk who don't know nothing about politics to weigh in, and Dr. Phil is one of those folks. So he's touting this 70-minute interview that he did with Donald Trump, and frankly, he allowed Trump to sit here and lie repeatedly during the interview. But here, to me, is one of the questions that I just find to be stupid and idiotic from Dr. Phil. Listen to this.
Well, I wanted to, and I know that there was some news coming out of Georgia today, there was some news coming out of Florida today, that they're stepping back from this. And
very good news.
I called for the other day, and I don't know if you saw it, but on Merritt Street Media, where I now do my show, I called for President Biden to stop all of this now. And of course, a lot of people said, oh, he can't stop it, it's a state case. Well, okay, that's an explanation for stupid people, but for people that understand how this works behind the scenes and all, I say the same thing. They need to stop this. They need to stop pursuing you. Since you started your campaign in 2015 to run for office, there have been so many attempts to get you off the board even before you started your campaign. Then once you were in office, 2 impeachment opportunities, they changed the rules to try to make it high crimes and misdemeanors if there were business conflicts, and in this case,
Never ends.
It seems to be never ending. And that is a distraction to you. And I really wonder how that affects you. What do you say to yourself about that? Because it seems to never be ending.
It's a never-ending thing. There's a term that I know you've heard many times. It's called Trump derangement syndrome. Nobody's ever said.
Well, yeah, Dr. Phil, maybe it's never ending because he keep doing wrong shit. What you just heard right there, let me just be as succinct as I possibly can. You are full of shit, Dr. Phil. You are full of it. You are absolutely full of it. First of all, let's be real clear. They changed the rules when it came to high crimes and misdemeanors. Hey, Phil, have your ass ever actually read the Constitution? The Constitution does not actually define high crimes and misdemeanors, which means that the United States Senate and the United States House can define those very things on their own. Sounds to me like, Dr. Phil, you're an apologist for Donald Trump. Sounds to me like you were trying to kiss a lot of Trump ass at Mar-a-Lago. And then this, I think that's for stupid people to say Biden can't stop it. Let me be real clear, Dr. Phil, because clearly your doctorate ain't in political science. Clearly it's not in history. It's actually not in anything political. President Biden can't stop a damn thing. In fact, Dr. Phil, if Biden picked the phone up to tell Fani Willis not to prosecute Donald Trump, he has no jurisdiction. He has zero authority. He has no authority over Fani Willis in Fulton County. He has no authority over Alvin Bragg in Manhattan. He has the same amount of authority over a Democratic DA that he does over a Republican, which is none. And no president, and no governor, and no mayor, and no county judge should be calling a DA telling them what not to prosecute. Now, Dr. Phil, you've operated as a witness in many trials, so you know a little bit about the law. Last I checked, Dr. Phil, it doesn't matter if you are a former president. It doesn't matter if you're a candidate for president. The sign above the Supreme Court says equal justice under law. And if somebody broke the law, and if a DA took it to a grand jury and got an indictment, then they have to go through the exact same procedure as any other regular Joe or Jamal in America. But I want to know how you feel. I want to know how you feel. All the attacking, they seems like they trying to keep you off the ballot. No, Phil. Seems like his ass keeps breaking the law. All you did was sit there and just kiss Donald Trump's ass for 70 minutes. And y'all, then they posted some interview of some black woman in the crowd. She like, man, after that, I have a whole different view of Donald Trump after that interview. Well, yeah, if you sat there and saw Dr. Phil kissing his ass for 70 minutes. See, y'all need to understand what the likes of Dr. Phil are doing. First of all, he tried to say somewhere else, I'm not a political person. Really? After the comments that you made? Now, Dr. Phil, come on. Anybody with a quarter of a brain know you full of crap for what you just said. And so, yeah, you're going to get called out for it. And it was totally BS. I mean, they sitting here, they sitting here coming after you, and it's like they want to take you off the board. How about this, Dr. Phil? Why didn't you say, hey, Donald, if you don't want to be prosecuted, stop doing prosecutable shit? How about that? That could have been your position, Dr. Phil. But no, you want to use your platform to absolve Donald Trump of his alleged crimes. But here's the fact, Dr. Phil, as somebody who's been on the witness stand, participated in many trials, he was found liable for sexual assault in New York City. And he kept defaming E. Jean Carroll. I'm sorry, did you admonish him? Did you tell him, why won't you listen to the law? Please tell me, Dr. Phil, why didn't you tell Donald Trump to shut his mouth and stop insulting judges and violating gag orders? Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. That didn't go along with your long effort to kiss his ass for 70 minutes. You deserve to be criticized for that joke of an interview, Dr. Phil. Because essentially, what you did was a 70-minute campaign prop for Donald Trump. That's what we saw from you, Dr. Phil. John Quell, your thoughts?
You know, with Donald Trump, although he was the president, these prosecutions, while everyone the biggest debate is about it being a party issue, right? The Democrats coming after the Republicans, or Biden coming after Trump. But what this really shows, and what's important here, is that when it comes to Donald Trump, is that no one is above the law. Even if you're the president of the United States of America, if you violate the law, if you break the law, then there are consequences to that. And you're going to be prosecuted as a result. And no one is going to drop the charges just because of who you are, what you're running for, or what your prior role was in the country. And frankly, you know, the president being the top person, the top man of the world, right? Because the United States is one of the most powerful countries in the world, right? We can't have tyranny running this country. And to Dr. Phil, that is begging President Biden to pardon him or to stop these prosecutions is really unfortunate that he's even making these kinds of pleas to the media, to online, to everyone else, because as you previously stated, the prosecutor has the discretion. Each state prosecutor, right, can make the decision on who they're going to prosecute in their jurisdiction. And so at the end of the day, he was just found guilty of 34 counts, okay, in that felony trial. And so at the end of the day, you've committed these felonies, a jury has spoken, and you deserve the consequences, as would any other ordinary citizen in this country.
Here's what sort of cracks me up here. I mean, I'm talking about if y'all want to hear something that's a joke. Wait, let me play this one right here, because I just found this one to be unbelievably laughable for somebody who supposedly is a doctor in human psychology. Supposedly. Listen.
How? I know you got a thick skin. You're not one of those people that's afflicted with the need to be loved by strangers. I get that.
I think that's true.
My question is not how do you do it. My question is why do you do it? Why do you, let's face it. I mean, you're a billionaire. You got a great family. You're a very dedicated father. People may not see this in you a lot because you keep that kind of private. But my question to you is why do you subject yourself to this? How? I know you got a thick skin.
Matt, what? Everybody know this man ain't got no thick skin. This is one of the most thin-skinned individuals you've ever seen in your life. He attacks anybody and everybody. He is a narcissist. You don't have a need to be loved by everybody else. Yeah. What the hell is Phil talking about?
First, I want to know if Dr. Phil got a check from the campaign or from the Trump organization, because it seems pretty clear that he's pandering. And it's funny that we're having this conversation today. I was on a plane from Baltimore yesterday, and I'm reading this book, right? It's called Winning Arguments. And there's a section in here about Trump. And what the author talks about with Trump in particular is that Trump has been a force because he's had arguments and basically has controlled the narrative such that he's never talking about what anybody else is talking about. He's always talking about what he wants to talk about. And I think that's particularly dastardly in this situation is because Dr. Phil should have, I would think as a journalist, some ethic guiding him to at least be objective and ask questions that would make his viewers find out more about the subject and at least be fair in considering the subject. But here, to your point earlier, it's like a 70-minute campaign commercial. And the thing that's ridiculous about that is there has been coverage ad nauseum about how Mr. Trump is very petty, vindictive, about people who crossed him, come out and said that he would not really politically prosecute them, but basically he's going to go after people who are counter to him. That is consistent with being thin-skinned. So why he's throwing these alley-oops, trying to soft pedal his character and give him all these opportunities to come off like a family man and all these things that he publicly has spoken counter to and what he said, I don't know. And I don't understand why Dr. Phil would do this. But I also think, irrespective of him having a PhD, Dr. Phil is clearly in the entertainment business and not in the business of being a credible practitioner. So I think this is consistent with that. And I'm wondering if there was a big check for this entire session where Donald Trump got to come and extol his own virtues, especially with Dr. Phil helping him along.
All right. You want to hear more BS? Let's watch this asinine line of questioning.
Everybody calls it inflation, but affordability. When we talk about gasoline under your administration, average $2.57 a gallon. Under Biden, $3.61, 40% more. Under your administration, homes average $320,000. Under the Biden administration, 31% more, $420,000. Under your administration, interest rates 3.8 average. Under the Biden administration, 39% more at 5.3%. Okay, now let's look at the border. Under you, average 1.7 million border crossings. Their official number is 6.4. That's from Homeland Security. It's actually about 13 million because I know I've been to the border. I've talked to the border guards down there, Brandon Judd. I've talked to Jason Jones. I've talked to the people that actually know the numbers. They say it's between 10 and 13 million. So my point is, when you look at the actual numbers, plus the things you just talked about, lower taxes, higher tax revenue, you look at that and you would say, my God, he should be running unopposed. I mean, why?
And these numbers, I appreciate it, and these numbers are really, I don't know how many.
Very conservative.
As an example, I guess.
I can't listen to the bullshit anymore. First of all, this is the game Dr. Phil plays here. The average under you was this, under Biden is this. Okay, first, nice, convenient way to skip over 2020, Dr. Phil, that thing called COVID. Nice try. Second of all, when he talks about, average prices of a home, Dr. Phil, would you like to mention how America did not build enough housing stock in the previous decade? Do you not want to mention that private equity at the end of the decade, they will own 40% of all housing stock? That kind of plays a role in all of this. Because guess what? I can show you actually that prices were lower under Obama. Because you know what? Oh, that's right. Because we had an economic recession because the housing market crashed in 2008, 2009, and 2010. Oh, wow. Those things are called facts. And so what Dr. Phil tried to do right there, Michael, was give this bullshit false equivalency. I don't understand. If those things were so great, you should be running unopposed. We should just be sitting here hand delivering the cake to you every day because, my God, when you were there, the world was just flat out amazing. Why are we not just kissing your feet and washing your feet and praising you, dear leader? That's what Dr. Phil sounded like.
Yeah, he did. And, you know, what's interesting is that Donald Trump inherited a relatively healthy economy.
Not relatively. No, he inherited an economy that was completely rebuilt after the destruction of Bush in 2007, 2008. And it was 3 years of hell under Obama in 09, 10, and 11 to get to a thriving economy in 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Right. Yeah. It was the unemployment rate was 4.7% when Donald Trump came into office. He inherited a healthy economy. And for evidence on this, the article from NBCnews.com, Trump says he built a great economy. Numbers tell a different story. So it's interesting when Dr. Phil wants to just compare the interest rates and compare the price of gas and things like this. He doesn't start with you inherited a healthy economy from Barack Obama and Joe Biden. And then also.
And he doesn't say, and you handed Biden an economy that sucked.
Exactly. Donald Trump is the only president that lost more jobs than he created. He lost 2.5 million jobs. No president has lost more jobs than were created since Herbert Hoover, okay, in 1932. The other thing is...
Wait. Before I just reminded me. Mm-hmm. How you gonna cite numbers and go, but the real number is 13 million because I went down there.
Yeah.
So what you do? You like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, so I'm sorry. So you gonna cite numbers, but then go on border crossing. Well, they say it's 6, but it's really 13 because I went down there and I talked to the people down there counting. So so we should believe that number and the other number. Go ahead, man.
That looked more like a Fox News propaganda interview. But the other thing is that during COVID, and you had shutdowns in various states and nobody was driving, right? The price of gas plummeted because demand dropped. So it looks like he's averaging those.
Hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Demand didn't just drop.
Yeah.
What? Nobody driving.
Right. Exactly. Which drove oil prices down.
I live 45 minutes from D.C.
Right.
I'm used to sitting in traffic. It was a damn ghost town driving in every day. What? I have never in my life, I will never forget 2020 and half of 2021. It was like, damn, where did everybody go? So, Of course, dude, he just sat there again. But this is what happens when you go, well, the numbers are this and the numbers are this. And so this is apples. No, it's not. It's a lot of stuff you leave out trying to sit here and craft the argument. But what got me, Michael, was you should be running unopposed.
Yeah, well, he totally left out that whole insurrection thing when Donald Trump tried to overthrow.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, that just
domestic terrorists to attack the U.S. Capitol, and they assaulted over 140 police officers. He just conveniently left that whole thing out. But the other thing is, you've talked about it here on the show, Roland. Under President Joe Biden, you have a record amount of oil production that the U.S. is doing at the same time. OK, The Economist has an article, Joe Biden, master oil trader, from May 16, 2024, that goes into this and deals with why, even though the price of oil, I think the price of gas is a little higher, I think, than this time last year, but it's still relatively low. OK, so all things considered. So this was you would have thought that this appeared on Fox News or Newsmax.
Or Fox Nation.
Fox Nation, the amount of lies that were told. And no fact checking.
This absolutely, as Matt said, Matt says a campaign video, you called it propaganda. That's all this is. Dr. Phil has absolutely no credibility with me talking politics after this joke of an interview with Donald Trump. I mean, it's abundantly clear.
Absolutely.
It's abundantly clear. And so his line of questioning, all the stuff he laid out, and I'm just sitting here going, and we supposed to believe your ass? And your Merritt Street media? Nah, we ain't believing that trash. It was an absolute joke. And hold on, let me see if I can find that damn clip of the black woman they had in the audience. I just had a whole different view of Donald Trump. After watching that interview, yeah, because all you watched was an ass-kissing interview. Hold up, here's this here. Hold on, let me set this up. I don't know who the hell this sister is, but if she was in my family, man, we'd be cussing her out at Sunday dinner. Listen to this nonsense. Come on, pull the audio up.
So watching your interview today, I think it actually gave me an interpretation that I've never had of him before. And us not seeing him more, it actually kind of hurts people on judging him. I guess if that's what the media wants to do, then they're doing a very good job at it.
Yeah, you bet. All right.
What? Us not seeing him more. And Dr. Phil, Dr. Phil, you bet. The man lies every damn day. Every damn day. And here's the other deal that, and I would love for Dr. Phil to want to address this question. What was up with all the jump cuts in the interview? What was up with all, because matter of fact, some people have posted, let me play this clip right here. Let me find it here. So when we do interviews, I don't cut stuff out. You talk beginning to end. But hold up, here we go.
You'd be the first one.
No, okay, now y'all just watch this right here. What's up with the splicing? Okay, watch.
You'd be the first one to do it. I know you. You'd say, what? Let's get rid of these. You know the money they save and the danger they save?
And look at this map that...
You'd be the first one to do it. I know you. You'd say, what? Let's get rid of these. You know the money they save and the danger?
Folks are talking about in terms of how it was edited, stuff along those lines. Again, just understand, y'all, this is what you call absolute propaganda. And then Dr. Phil wants to say, oh, no, I'm not picking sides. I'm not he's giving all these, oh no, I don't do those things. No, I'm not even involved in politics. I just want the world to come together. In fact, y'all, this is literally what he said 3 days before he decided to go talk to Dear Leader. Listen to this.
I wanted to share my final thought about this. This weaponization of our great institutions, the FBI, Justice Department, and individual states' similar institutions, will lead to one of two outcomes.
Okay, let's stop right here. So first of all, you already are using right-wing talking points by saying it's the weaponization of the Justice Department. I'm sorry, do we want to remind Dr. Phil who tried to actually fire a number of officials? That was Trump. Who ordered, and he and several of his top lieutenants in the DOJ said, we will resign if you make this move. That was Donald Trump. This is the man. Really, Dr. Phil? Oh, the weaponization against him? Okay, a little more BS, y'all.
From the other side, tit for tat. That may seem deserved, but it is not the right way forward for America. The other is what I call on you to demand from your politicians today, an end to this craziness in order to save the soul and sanity of our country. The Pope has actually given us the right approach in his new book when he says, we are all brothers and sisters, and there must be no resentment among us. For any war to truly end, forgiveness is necessary. That is true of any war, including our current cultural war. We need our Justice Department to return to the business of meting out justice and not running the political agendas of those currently in power, blindly.
So the DOJ, so help me out, Dr. Phil. If the current Department of Justice was doing Biden's bidding, why is his son on trial?
Right.
I mean, if they would do my bidding, I'd be like, y'all ain't prosecuting my son. Oh, remember when Biden said, remember when Phil said that Joe Biden could pick the phone up and end these trials? How would Dr. Phil like it if Biden said, y'all ain't prosecuting my son in this? Oh, you would have a problem with that, huh? Right. Ain't that interesting? Biden has come out and said he will not pardon his son if convicted. Donald Trump said he will pardon every single person involved in January 6th. Mm-hmm. But you, Dr. Phil, say we need to get back to doing the job. Okay, just a little more of the BS from Dr. Phil.
Wait, can I ask a question first?
Convictions, warranted or otherwise, and attacking political opponents. That requires a very few important things from each of you, from all of us. Finding your voice, forgiveness, and focus on the way forward.
Okay, he just said forgiveness and focus on the way forward. Yeah, 3 days after this, in his interview, Donald Trump promised retribution against his enemies. I didn't recall Dr. Phil quoting the Pope at that time. I didn't recall Dr. Phil telling him, you know what, that's not right, that's not fair, that's not just. You should be extending grace and mercy. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't use grace and mercy against somebody who holds the Bible upside down. Back to Dr. Phil.
Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Forgiveness, and at the same time requiring better. We are not some banana republic, for God's sakes. What are we going to do next? Have a Putin poisoning posse?
Okay, all right. So first of all, let me help Dr. Phil out with something. When you say the phrase banana republic, do you know where that came from? That phrase came from the United States helping overthrow countries largely in Latin America because of the folks who own banana plantations. Yeah, that's how we also took over Hawaii and it became a state. Just read Stephen Kinzer's book, Overthrow. Now, let me help you out, Dr. Phil. In a banana republic, there ain't no trial. They go from pick you up to execution. So the reality is, Donald Trump had due process. It actually happened. So when y'all throw these phrases out, we're gonna be a banana republic, that's actually not what a banana republic is when you actually get to present a defense. So you might wanna actually study the phrase banana republic, Dr. Phil, before you just start talking like Sean Hannity. I gotta put a little bit more of the stupidity.
And start finding political opponents foaming at the mouth at home, not so mysteriously dying in their lazy boy recliners? We're better than that. We must be better than that. I don't like what I see happening in our country. This kind of thing is exactly why I launched Merit Street Media and wrote We've Got Issues. I don't like seeing the weaponization of our justice system, agencies, and powerful government actions that, frankly, just make my skin crawl for all of us and for my grandchildren. And let's be honest, this is so not just about Trump. If you let your hatred for Donald Trump compromise your ability to find true north on your moral compass, shame on you. If you let your disgust for Biden make you blind to the inevitable consequences of pursuing revenge, then God help the children who will inherit the dystopian nightmare we create.
Yet 3 days later, you interview Trump and he talks about retribution and you say and do nothing. Dr. Phil, you are a joke. And all of that crap that you said in this 4-minute and 16-second commentary, and I only played half of it, everything that you said can be thrown right out that damn window on Black Lives Matter Plaza here in Washington, D.C., because when you actually talked to Trump 3 days later, it was a 180 degree from everything that you said here. So the fact of the matter is, you talked about having a moral compass in this. You clearly forgot your moral compass when you went to Mar-a-Lago. Matt, I think you wanted to make a comment.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that Bob Menendez and his wife are being prosecuted right now by Biden's Justice Department, aren't they? And he's a Democrat, yes. Right? And what we see that the goalpost always moves. We know, especially with Trump, it's about, his talking points and advancing his message. But all I was going to add to it is, one, there's great irony with it being called Merit Street and then obviously having a non-meritorious a conversation with Mr. Trump. But the bigger part of that is the thing I thought was really insidious about this is the way Donald Trump continues to other black people, referring to the blacks should give him 100% of his vote. And what's interesting about that is that there's just so many people who allow his sound bites to ring rather than the totality of what he said, including, Dr. Phil, to your point, about 3 days later, he says something directly in contravention with that, and you don't see any retraction or any kumbaya from Dr. Phil then. And that's what I think is driving this. Sound bites and people being placated with sound bites and then forgetting about what was said until the next time a spicy sound bite comes out.
Folks, if y'all want, y'all can watch that 71-minute interview with Dr. Phil. It's trash. And he's shown exactly who he is with this trash that he just presented. And you simply have no credibility on any of this, Dr. Phil. You clearly are a Trump apologist. That's what you sounded like in the interview. It's abundantly clear. When you try to kiss as much butt as you can, and I'm sure Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. were going, damn, he did a better job of kissing our dad's ass than we do.
Yeah, somebody's killing more people, and it's going on. Yeah.
When COVID happened, poor people were dying at a rate already of 800 people a day. Before COVID, if you went to a funeral every single day, it would take you 600 years to attend all the funerals of the people who will die from the ravages of policy violence, poverty, and low wages in America in just 1 year. It would take you 2 years and 19 days to go to all of the funerals of the people that will die today, and oftentimes silence. Nobody talks about this political genocide, but we are determined today to remember their death and be a resurrection of voting power and voice power like never before.
Economic justice and saving this democracy are deeply connected. We, as a nation, must listen to the demands of the poor, who are pushing and will continue to push political candidates and elected leaders to lift from the bottom so that everybody can rise.
Take back the mic! Take back the mic! Take back the mic! Take back the mic!
We are the poor, the marginalized, and the underpaid. And we are taking one step forward to say that everybody has a right to live.
Poverty is not the fault of those who are impoverished. It is caused by those who make the policy.
There are over 135 million poor and low-wage, low-income people in this nation.
The biggest block of potential voters by far is low-income, low-wage voters.
I can't afford medicine. Sometimes I have to skip because of the cost.
The farm worker community is tired of the violence imposed upon us by greed, exclusion, and denial of basic human rights.
Those folk that represented by that casket, poor and low-wage workers who are the most moral people in this country because they go to work every day believing, even though going to work is hazardous to their health.
I'm tired of working 70 to 80 hours a week and still not have money for the necessity of bills. I'm tired of getting sick and not being able to go see the doctor. Having to make a choice to pay between rent or the light bill or food or clothes.
You cannot claim to care about families and a culture of life and then do everything in your power to rob people of equal access to resources and to force them to live in poverty.
Leadership of both parties had waged war on poor people and low-wage workers.
And this government has treated people experiencing poverty, including their military families, with disdainful, deliberate, malicious neglect.
So the truth is that my son died from poverty.
We refuse to accept poverty as the fourth leading cause of death.
The fourth leading cause of death in this, the richest country in the world.
We march today for our children and the generations to come.
And we need to do it with the loudest voices possible, the biggest actions possible.
We will voice our demands and register our vote.
When we stand up and when we stand together, things change.
There is the electorate that is, and then there is the electorate that should be.
34 million eligible poor and low-income voters did not vote in 2016. If just 20% of those voters in swing states were mobilized around an agenda, they could change the political outcome of every election. So we're launching the most massive voter mobilization and turnout campaign in history of poor and low-wage voters, allies, and religious leaders.
People are dying, but we know it doesn't have to be this way. And so we are calling on everyone to join us in this Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival.
We are here, we will be seen, we will be heard, and our power will be felt. We don't need to be an insurrection. We are a resurrection that will be felt across this country. Are you ready? 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 We are a resurrection, and we are ready. And